Hello, Rock Recovery family. I miss you so much. I hope today you are doing well. Let's go ahead and open with our normal prayer. Lord, I just pray that you would bless each and every person listening to this recording, Lord. I pray that you would help give us the courage and the wisdom to continue with our sobriety, continue with our journey in life, Lord, trusting you in everything that we do. And Lord, I pray that you would put a peace and a calm in our hearts that only you can provide, that if there's any anxiety or fear or depression going on, Lord, that you would just remove that from us and help just to calm our spirits and our minds. Like I said, I do miss you very much. Patrick and I do miss you and look forward to seeing you again when we're through this crazy thing. You know, I'm an essential worker, so I have to be out here, and it's a little crazy, but I'm glad you guys are there safe. But so today I wanted to discuss exposure. Yes, exposure, but not in a weird way. Anyways, exposure as a coping mechanism. When I was in recovery, I felt very isolated from the world, but I also felt sort of in a protective bubble. The thing though with, you know, traumas or addiction, you know, mistakes, regrets, things like that, they don't recognize that we're in a bubble. They only recognize that we are still feeling those emotions and we still have those emotions. So, you know, they can at times take advantage of us in our weakness. So one of the things, exposure imagining is something that was very helpful for me. So what that means is when you are fearful of something, or there's a memory that haunts you or that has, you know, controlled you for a very long time, by allowing your brain to go there in a relaxed type situation where you can go through the experience and remember the details of the experience. But again, it's just happening in your mind. It's actually proven that by exposing yourself to uncomfortable thoughts and memories over many, many times will slowly cause those memories to lose power over you. And you'll start to realize that memories don't have a weapon. They're, you know, they don't have a sword. They can't kill you. It's a memory, but it's a painful memory. But as you continue to expose your mind to that memory, you'll find that it loses power. The other thing that I want to discuss with you guys is the ability to then, you know, cope in a way that maybe you're afraid. So one of the things for me was when I was in recovery, I really was afraid of myself. I was afraid of what was going to happen when I left recovery. Was I going to be a mess? Was I going to make bad choices? Was I going to relapse? All of those things were in my mind. And what I realized is that by allowing myself to slowly do things that maybe I was afraid of. So I was afraid even just to go in public and be around people. It created a lot of anxiety. You know, just, I don't know why, now looking back on it, why I was so afraid of that, but I was really afraid of being around people. I guess if I really think about it, I didn't have confidence in myself. I didn't feel like I had the ability to have good conversations and, you know, really just relate to a person that was just a what I would call a normal person, because, you know, my experiences were so different. I always felt like, you know, if someone came up and said, "Hi, how are you?" You know, "Where's your family from?" Well, then that all of a sudden was then the dead point of our conversation, because how do I say, well, I don't know my dad, and my mom was my pimp, and I'm estranged from my family and have been since I was a kid. So, you know, it's just, being in public was difficult for me. So what I started to do was I started to realize that imagining myself in public, so that's that exposure imagination, imagining myself in public, but imagining myself doing well. Imagine myself going and not being tied to conversations I didn't want to be tied to, not feel trapped, you know, in any situation. And so then I started to basically just, you know, imagine it going well. And then I started to practice. So I would go in public And in my mind, I rehearsed it. Now, the good news about rehearsing something in your mind is you're the actor, you're the person. So there's no surprises, more or less, is what I can say. I mean, sure, there's going to be people that could do or say something that's outside of your plan, but you're pretty much going to know how you're going to react in a situation, because you've already planned it out in your mind. So you then go to the grocery store and someone walks by, you smile, you see someone you know, they say, hey, how you doing? Say, oh, doing great, just got to pick up a few things. I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I will talk at you later. Glad to hear you guys are doing well, and walk away. So that was one thing for me that was really difficult. Again, in imagining myself being in a relationship that was healthy was something that I didn't know what that was, because I'd never had one. And so imagining what that would probably look like, which I hate to say that a lot of my imagining of what a positive, healthy relationship would look like came from television, but that's where it came from. And so some of that stuff's kind of sappy and overdone, and you're not going to get that regardless. But that was kind of my springboard, my starting place. And so I would start to imagine getting flowers, imagine somebody missing me, imagine somebody asking me how my day was, imagine somebody caring about how my day was, imagining them not hurting me, not hitting me, not yelling at me, not putting me down. And then when I started to imagine that, I could start to receive that. So that's the weird thing. When you imagine it, you can turn it into reality by just changing that thought process and making that imagination a reality, by actually practicing. It's weird to think that you would have to practice going to a grocery store, a practice in your mind having a conversation, or practice in your mind not being upset about someone's feelings or opinions. Here's another thing too, exposing yourself to other people's feelings. When we take on, so for myself, I would take on what I felt that a certain person in my life would react in any given situation, which always in my mind was negative. And I would basically say, oh, this person is going to react like XYZ. How do I know? Just because they have in the past doesn't mean they're going to now. And to be honest, I would work myself up. I would get depressed. I'd get upset. I'd get worried. I'd get all these things happening, only to find out that one, either it didn't happen, or two, it did happen. And what was I going to do about it? I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. So what I would do is start to realize that it's none of my business what another person's opinion is, or how they're going to deal with something, or how they're going to feel about something. As long as I'm doing the next best thing, which is what we do in sobriety, we take each day moment by moment and we try to do the next best thing at every moment. As long as I'm doing that, then what other people's thoughts, feelings, opinions, one, they're not my opinion, they're not of any importance to me, and two, you can also change some of those opinions. So let's say that it's a relationship that matters to you. You've hurt your children like I did. You hurt your kids, and now you have to rebuild that relationship, and you don't know where to start. Well, how you... Gosh. Sorry, guys. I must drop the phone. Okay, so how you start is it recording me still? Okay, good. All right. So anyway, so how you start that is by basically, sorry, this thing is, no, cancel. Sorry, this thing messed up. I'm not the most techie. I'm getting better, but I'm still not quite there yet. Let me see. Okay, I think I fixed it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Now I think it's recording me again, or it did. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to worry about it, because making a mistake is part of life, right? You break some eggs, you can make a pretty good omelet, as long as you have a good attitude about it. So anyways, going back to what I was saying. So if I'm going to work myself up over someone else's thoughts or opinions, or over something that they may or may not do, then I'm already setting myself up for failure in that situation. Because how can you possibly rebuild anything, or rebuild a relationship, or any of that stuff, if you are already walking into the situation with preconceived negative attitudes and negative thoughts? So what I found with my children is, No, my relationship was not where I wanted it to be, but at least it was something that was there. And then I could make an effort to start to work on it and improve it and pray. And I hoped that we would be okay. I hoped that we would, be able to walk through it. But, I didn't know. I had no guarantees that they would forgive me. I had no guarantees that our life would come back to something. But the thing is I imagined in my mind making Mickey Mouse pancakes for them on a Saturday morning, laughing and giggling and watching a comedy show, cooking dinner for them. I imagined that stuff. And then when I imagined it, it was now something that I could practice. Hey, you guys want to come over for dinner? Or are you free for breakfast? And they come over and I make those Mickey Mouse pancakes, whether they want them or not. I make them. And so then now I've imagined it. I practiced it, and maybe it doesn't go well. Maybe they're like, Mom, Mickey Mouse pancakes? I don't want Mickey Mouse pancakes. Do you have bacon instead? Oh, Lord, I didn't plan for that. But okay, yeah, I've got bacon in the freezer. Let me do that real quick. So be willing to be flexible when you're practicing, especially when it's rebuilding relationships with others. The other thing is, too, that being in any type of isolation, and in addiction, we were isolated in trauma. Now we're being isolated in recovery. Take that as an opportunity to work through those memories and emotions and feelings in your mind so that you can start to imagine and then practice how you want them to go or be, and then go forward based off of that. So that's just something that I would encourage you guys as well to do. Guy over here walking his dog, and the dog is taking his bathroom break right in front of me. the adventures of being an essential worker in this environment. But anyways, know that it isn't easy to go through that, but I am living proof that if you imagine it and you practice it, one, you're gonna get better, and two, if you imagine it and you sort of start to make your traumas lose that strength or hold that they have over you by imagining them, and then all of a sudden now realizing that your memories of what happened, they're not dangerous. They're not anything that can come and hurt you. They're in your mind. So get those to lose power. Imagine how you want things to go forward. Understand they may not want Mickey Mouse pancakes, even though that's what you imagined, and you may have to flip and do bacon, but focus on what's important. You're practicing the next step, and you're going to get better and better as you go. So I hope this helped you guys. I just kind of wanted to discuss with you a little bit about coping, because like I said, I spent 110 days in recovery, and I know you guys have been in recovery now for a long time because of this pandemic. So I tried to kind of remember things that were more towards the latter of my recovery that I thought would be helpful to you guys. So I miss you, miss you, miss you. I love you so much. And I'm just going to finish like I always do. If no one's told you today, you matter. I'm proud of you, and I love you. Bye, guys.